This is the third video in a series of 3 videos about random forest. In the previous video, we saw how to use hyperparameter tuning to find the best parameters for a random forest model. In this video, we'll go into much more details about random forest, talk about feature importance, partial dependence, and confidence about predictions. Before we get started, couple of things to note. The dataset that we'll use for this video is from a Kaggle competition. The link is in this notebook. And the notebook that I will be using for this video will be available both on GitHub and Kaggle's website. The links to both will be in the description box below. So you can go ahead and check it out. The first step is to import relevant libraries. I would like to point your attention towards the line which imports plot partial dependence. This is one of the functions that we'll use for partial dependence and we'll look into it going forward. The data that we have includes a sample submission CSV, train CSV, and test CSV. We have discussed this previously also. We will import the train.csv, store into df.train as we had done previously. Then we'll split the columns of df underscore train into independent x variables and the dependent y variables. This random forest model uses the parameters which were found to be the best parameters during our hyperparameter step in the previous video. Once we create an object of random forest classifier called model underscore rf, we'll call the fit function to actually create the model. Now that we have created the model, let's look at variable importance. Random forest class has an attribute for variable importance called features underscore importances underscore. You can see that we are using this attribute and creating a pandas data frame out of it. The first column is all the variables that we have in our data, and the second is the corresponding feature importance. We are sorting this data in descending orders based on the importance, and this creates our relevant pandas data frame. I have plotted this as a bar chart, and you can see the top 15 variables for this model based on importance. We have var 81, 139, and 12 as the top 3 important variables. As you saw, it's very easy to look at variable importance. You can use this to find out variables which have very low feature importance and do not contribute a lot to the model. And those variables can be eliminated from the model. This ensures that the model is simpler and more stable. Now let's look at how do we find out partial dependence of our independent variables. I will take 3 variables as an example for this. These are the top variables based on feature importance, so var 81, 139, and 110. Partial dependence essentially tells you how an independent variable relates to the dependent variable, and this can give us a very good idea based on graphical representation of how the dependent variable can be estimated based on a particular independent variable. So we'll call this function plot partial dependence. We'll pass the model that we have, all the x variables, and a list of all the variables that we want to be plotted. We have 3 variables and those we have specified here. And the other parameters are about grid resolution and the axis. Let me take one example. Let's look at the plot for the first variable var 81. You can see the value of the dependent variable is higher for lower values of variable 81. The threshold may lie somewhere between value 11 and 13 of variable 81. Other example we can take is the third one, which is var 110. You can see the dependent variable has higher values for higher values of this particular variable, and the threshold will be somewhere after a value of 8. It's also informative to look at histograms of these variables along with the partial dependence plots so that it is easy for us to understand whether the dependence that we see also relates to a significant number of observations in our data. Creating histogram plots is easy in this case. We take the column that we want to plot the histogram of, call the hist function, pass the axis that we want to have. I have turned on the legend. Let's take an example here. Let's take the second variable that we have, which is var 139, and compare both the partial dependence plot and the histogram. So in the partial dependence plot, you will see that the transition between higher values of dependent variable and lower values of dependent variables happens somewhere around a value of 4. And if you see the histogram, there are significant number of observations both below and above 4. So if we apply a threshold maybe around 3 and 4 values of this particular variable, we'll get a good split and it will be a decent predictor for the model. And you can expect that because this is one of the top variables in our model. The last detail that we'll see in the series about random forest is what is the confidence that we have for our predictions. So for that, let's do one thing. Let's find out predictions on our test data. We import the test.csv data as df underscore test data frame. We also import sample submission data frame, which is essentially the final output that we'll have for Kaggle submission. We use predict underscore prob a function to find out the prediction probability for each observation in the test data, and we are saving that as target column in sample submissions data frame. You will notice that there is an array indexing that we have after predict prob a. The reason for this is predict prob a provides us with two values for every observation. The first value is probability of the observation being 0, and the second value is the probability of that observation being 1. And because we want the probability of observation being 1, that is why we have the index value 1 here. Now let's look at how confident we are with the predictions that we get from this random forest model. One of the ways we can assess the confidence of our predictions is to look at the probability values itself. If, for example, the value is close to 0 or close to 1, then we can be pretty sure that the model is very confident that observation should be either a 0 or 1. If it is close to zero point 0.5, then model is not very sure whether it's a 0 or 1. But there is another way we can look at the confidence of prediction. We can find out the prediction of the observation for each tree in the random forest model, and they take a standard deviation of those predictions. If we find that different trees that the random forest model has created essentially give us same values for most of the time, then we have a higher confidence in the prediction because the standard deviation of these predictions will be lower. We can do this by finding out predictions for each individual tree in the model. We have looked at something similar to this in the first video of this series. For that, we use estimators attribute for a random forest model. This will give us each individual tree estimator that we have in the random forest model. When we are looping through this, what we are doing is we are taking each tree individually every single time. And for every iteration of this loop, we are calling the predict function on the test data. So what we have is for every observation in our data, we have 190 predictions because 190 is the number of trees that we have in our random forest model. And you can see that from the shape attribute that I've printed here. We can call standard deviation on these 190 values. For first 10 observations, I predicted what is the probability and what is the standard deviation. You can see that wherever the value is close to zero point 0.5, the standard deviation is higher. And wherever the probability is either close to 0 or close to 1, the standard deviation is lower. Let's compare first row, which is test 0 with test underscore 5. Test underscore 0 has a predicted probability which is close to zero point 0.5, and that is why the standard deviation is 0.47. And when we compare it with test 5, the probability is 0.37, which is closer to 0, and that is why you will see the standard deviation is also lower in this case. So these are some of the details that we have about random forest. I hope through this 3 video series you have been able to get a very good idea of what a random forest model is, how to build it, and how to analyze that particular model. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to use the comment section. Thank you for watching the video.